Is now a good time to buy a rental property? The answer is absolutely. Remember the saying, when was the best time to plant a tree 20 years ago? What's the next best time today? It's the same thing in real estate. And I know that there is a lot of media noise out there, and there always has been. I've been in this business since 1993. My dad has been in the business since 1978. And I cannot tell you a time where there's just not a lot of noise from naysayers on real estate. The thing you've got to remember is real estate will always make money for you if you hold on to it and sell it at the right time, because the markets are always going to have ups and downs. And some people are going to pick the right time to sell. It's going to be at the peak of the market, and they're going to yell from the rooftops how much money they made. And if you had sold a little earlier, maybe a year earlier, you may not have gotten so much, but hey, do not fret. You still made out really well. And then when the market goes down, if at all possible, don't sell your property. And the thing about rental investment is just keep it rented. And even if the rents go down a little bit, compensate to make sure that you've got a good resident paying their monthly rental in your property, and you will be fine. So when clients, friends, family, strangers, DM messages ask me, is this a good time to buy rental property? The answer is yes. So I just wrote an owner newsletter. It's coming out in March, and I wanted to give examples of what I'm talking about. So to give you exact examples of what's happening right here with McKenna Property Management, and I didn't even go out and pick them, meaning I didn't go out and make sure that the numbers were really high to convince everybody of what I'm saying. I took the last two properties that I had been managing for years, and the owner has done a change in life, a situation. They want to grab their equity out of these rentals, and I'm no longer going to managing them. They put them on the market and they have sold. So I just picked the most recent, just randomly, the two that I'm no longer managing but have been managing for years. First one, owner bought it in 2019, bought it for $283,000. So great, phenomenal price, because if we all remember 2019, you could pick up some pretty good deals at that time. We were getting $2,750 per month for rent. And yes, there were repairs. Yes, there was some maintenance, but overall $2,750 per month for rent. Only 3 months of vacancy. So 3 months through the entire time, there was non-payment of rent or no income coming in on this property. They just sold it this month, 2026, March, $575,000. 283, 2019, 575, 2026. I mean, I know you can make some money on the stock market. However, that's a significant amount of zeros behind a comma. And that's one of the reasons, one of the many reasons I love real estate. So now let me give you a second example, because you might be saying, oh, Jenny, you're just picking a property that's got a lot of appreciation. No, I just picked the one that I no longer manage. I had no idea what they bought it for. I had to go to the tax records and find it. So here's another one. Owner bought the property in 2016 for $176,000. We had rent between $1,700 and $1,875 during the time that I had managed it, because we did start a little lower at 17, and then as the years went on, we were able to get a little bit more. So it ended at $1,875 when the last resident moved out of the property. They just sold it for $359. 2016, $176. 2026, $359. Again, a comma with a lot of zeros behind it. Now, what did they have to do to reap this amount of money? Nothing. I was their manager. I made sure the property was occupied. If there were any issues, I took care of them. Yes, they would have to pay for repairs from time to time, but overall, everything was stress-free. I took on all of the headaches of property management. They sat back and got to enjoy the quiet appreciation of their property. So there's 3 things that I wrote about in my newsletter. 1, time in the market. I always like to say, at least when you're dealing with long-term rentals and the niche market that I'm in, when I talk about real estate, it is long-term rentals. So when I am discussing these scenarios, it is time in the market. It is not a sprint. It's a marathon. So if you're buying a property today, 2026, I wouldn't be looking to sell it in 2027. 2028, 2029, maybe 2030 if the market looks really good, maybe 2031. The time in the market is how you become wealthy. This is the wealth that you get from the real estate investments that you do. So time in the market. The second thing, consistent rental income. So you have to look at the rental as a business, period. You might have thought you could get $1,800 a month in rent, but push come to shove, maybe you only got 17. You threw it out there at 1,800. We all thought 1,800 was going to work. It's on the market for 45 days, 60 days, and you're like, the market's telling me something. We need to get down to 1,700. You get down to 1,700, you rent it, you're in a 1-year lease. Then maybe at your renewal, you bump it up $50 or $75, depending on what the market is, depending on how well you like the resident. The moral of that story is keep it rented, because the rent is your income, and that's what you want on your rental real estate investment. Third thing, we talked a little bit about it. Appreciation is beautiful. Appreciation is what's quietly happening in the background. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to monitor it. You don't have to do anything. There's no hard labor for it. You let it do its thing, and it just happens quietly in the background. Oh, I love real estate. So it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. You're not going to buy something today, be able to sell it in a couple years, make a lot of money, that comma with a lot of zeros. You probably can make money if the market's right, but the scenarios and the advice I'm giving you is, if you want the comma with a lot of zeros behind it, it's a marathon. You're going to hold on to it for a little while. Now, you might say to yourself, what should I buy? Great question. I've done a couple YouTube videos on this. You want to buy what people want to live in. Great floor plans, great neighborhood, conveniences, meaning fast food, grocery shopping, retail, easy access to freeway, schools nearby. Those are the things that a resident/tenant is going to be looking for. You are going to want to make sure that you present your rental in a really good way. That doesn't mean you have to spend thousands of dollars on up. It means it needs to be clean. It needs to be fresh looking. It needs to make sure that when somebody walks in, their curb appeal looks good, the front door looks good. You want to be able to walk into the property and have that person just kind of walk in the front door and go, this feels good. This layout is good. And there are some funky layouts. So do not go out there and buy a funky layout. You want to buy a layout that furniture is going to fit, the kitchen makes sense, that there's nothing weird going on, but they're not that hard to find. Honestly, they're out there. They're all over the place. You want to make sure that you are with a professional real estate agent that's going to be able to tell you what the last comparables sold for. You don't want to overpay, even if the seller thinks their house is worth it. You go off of the comparables that are in the neighborhood. That's what an appraiser would do. That's what you should do. Now, that doesn't mean that if the property is highly, highly upgraded and they've done a ton of extra and that's worth it in the long run, because remember, marathon, not sprint. In the long run, that is going to be a benefit. Pay a little bit more. Again, appreciation happens quietly in the background. So all of that is going to come back to you. Just don't overpay. Be conscientious about that. Just don't overpay. And if you do those things, buying a rental investment property today, tomorrow, a month from now, you will be grateful that you did, just like the tree. When's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. When's the second best time? Today. So get your finances in order. Make sure you qualify with a lender. Make sure that you can put enough money down that the rent that comes in compared to what your mortgage is isn't going to sink your ship. It's usually between 30 and 35%, give or take. And then sit back and let appreciation work its magic in the background. So that's my opinion. Hopefully it makes sense to you. You can reach out to me if you have any other questions. That's why I think you should always be buying real estate.